One of these odd things is the 5G network. So 5G is going to roll out all around the planet. It's going to roll out, and there isn't anything any human can do because we need that 5G as a very large, at least in the minds of the military, strategic weapon against the space aliens. Okay, 5G first appeared as an adjunct to genetics examinations. It's a way of examining DNA. They use it in the laboratory. It's sort of like a DNA scanner, if you will. And done appropriately, you can learn a lot about DNA and its active dynamic structure at that time using a 5G microscope, for lack of a better word. Okay. And then 5G went to the TSA. All those scanners were 5G. Okay. And they gave a lot of people cancer, but it wasn't the 5G radiation per se that gave them the cancer. It was the exposure to the electronics that made the 5G stuff and the fact that it was so intense within that small envelope, that small space. 5G itself is very dangerous waves to be around, but it doesn't penetrate very far. It wouldn't go through your skull. It would just sort of maybe penetrate into the skin. You'd still have problems, okay? There's no question there. But 5G itself is very important because it is so bandwidth expansive. It can carry so much data in a short waveform pattern. So it has this really cool part of it, but it's also very interesting in a couple of ways. 5G allows you to track things in a way that our current cell system does not. Okay, so 5G would a 5G network, because they have to have many of these devices, like on every corner, every street corner, on the tops of buildings, inside buildings, all over, because you're dealing with distances that are like 2 and 3 and 5 feet sometimes, just down a short hallway before it has to bend, and then you're going to have another repeater. Because of that, they'll be able to track things down to just a percentage of movement that is just incredibly fine. So now you might know a guy with a cell phone went into a building. With 5G, you would know that he's walking into his kitchen and that he's about to go over to the window. You would know that kind of level, right? And the 5G within the TSA scanners, because of what it does in terms of DNA and so forth, they could have maybe found hybrids, aliens. And see, that's what's going on at the moment. Getting back to our theme, right? Our theme is that Earth is being invaded right now. Our theme is that our LARP is running here, that we're all living a live action role playing against like a 1960s invaders movie. These aliens have been, according to the abductees, have been hybridizing abductees for decades now. So 5G could have been used, for instance, to pick up a non-human DNA as they went through those scanners. And it would have allowed the military to track such individuals moving through our populace. Because now in our LARP, bear in mind, in our LARP, I think the US military is aware of this space alien invasion. David Jacobs, and he wrote a book on the alien plan to control humanity. And I think he's probably fairly accurate about what he's saying, that right now, there's something going on that seems to suggest the USA government might be captive by the aliens, and the Chinese and the Russians don't like this. The space aliens can control our minds. They can actually control the neural pathways in our brains, and they can do so such that they could eliminate me from your vision. I could be sitting there, I could be coughing and hacking, and they decide what you will hear and see of my presence. And they can do this relatively easily. Okay, so they are able to control our brains through their inbuilt telepathic abilities. They're putting some of these telepathic abilities into the hybrids, and they put some telepathic abilities into the next generation, which we could call the, I guess that would be the haploids, okay, the hybridized hybrids. They're closer to human. So those ones are the ones that are attempting to inject into our society. Those ones have less telepathic ability than their progenitors, and far less than the actual space aliens. These space aliens are not hominids. The space aliens create hominid-like biological robots, the Greys, reptilians even, to serve their needs. The reptilians were an offshoot that the space aliens did because the reptilians are extremely easy to control mentally. The reason they're easy to control mentally is because they have a very nascent, very primitive vagus nervous system. The 5G network, getting back to our subject previously, could be used, in my opinion, to disrupt the ability of the hybrids to control human thought, and also disrupt the ability of the space aliens to control human thought. So it may be that in order to have a free mind in the future, because this is ongoing, they're not going to stop because of the nature of these space aliens. They've never known defeat as we understand it. But we may find that in the future, we have to live in 5G envelopes in order to be relatively free from being screwed with by the space aliens as they proceed with their evil plan to conquer Earth, assuming that that's their goal. The space aliens themselves, I know something about, and they're just a strange crew. And we have to understand that we may be fighting them without really even understanding what their goal is.